panel, a team of the RCs, the regional coordinator. I think everybody knows Didi left the body last year, remember? Didi Dr. Nimala left the body. So, and then Baba has given Charlie the responsibility to take care of the Asia Pacific region. And he's working with the team, and he's here heading the team of panel of sisters to take care of this region. So I think before that, just to introduce Charlie a little bit, Charlie is based in Sydney, national coordinator of all the Australian centres. And tonight, I think we're very fortunate. We've given Charlie a very passionate topic. He likes his topic very much on love. I think I heard many times in Madhuban classes and even in YouTube. Actually, Charlie is very, very special authority on the topic on relationship and love. So this evening, he's going to share with us on the topic, experiencing limitless love. And I think the whole Madhuban season, some of you have came back or some of you are going next week. In fact, this Friday. The theme taken up in Madhuban is experience limitless love. So Charlie is going to share with us. So before that, we welcome Charlie with a bouquet of flowers. Come, Gayatri. So these flowers symbolizes love, because he's going to talk on the topic on love this evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, over to you, Charlie. Om Santi.
Om Shanti. And thank you very much, Pure Bai. It's lovely to be here. And when I sat here, I think this is the first time I've been in the class since it's been renovated. I have been here, but I think it's the first time. So that must be some years ago. But anyway, it's lovely to be here. And as I think you know, I will share a little bit, and then if you would like to ask some questions or make some comments, you'll be so welcome. I think in all languages, is there a subject that's written about more than love? I don't think so. In all languages, is there a subject sung about more than love? I don't think so. In all languages, is there a subject talked about more than love? I don't think so. Because love is really the pinnacle human experience. It's the highest human experience and the most life-changing human experience. And sometimes I feel that what we learn here, the path of Raj Yoga, is the path of love. Why? Because I think the most natural thing in all of us is to fall in love. It's in our DNA. It's a part of who we are. No one has to teach us how to fall in love. It's natural. And so really, what is this spiritual life we're all practicing? When I fall in love with Shiv Baba, with God, I naturally fall in love. I naturally remember. That's where the heart is drawn in a natural way. So automatically I feel uplifted. And when I naturally remember, I will naturally transform. Automatically my whole character and personality begins to transform. And when I naturally transform, I will naturally serve. I will naturally give to others. And so this is why I feel really the true Raj Yoga is to fall in love with God. Ultimately, that's what this life is really about. And if I find myself battling, forcing myself, pressuring myself, pushing myself, to me, I think we're still on the path of devotion. We're still doing bhakti, if I can say that. And once Daddy Jenki, and I think everyone here knows who she is. You know, Daddy's an extraordinary person because she wasn't educated. She left school in her early teens, but she had such an innate wisdom. And she said once that the ultimate result of all knowledge is to be completely loving. I love that. Because when I absorb truth into the core of my being, How does truth come out? Am I a great intellectual? Am I a great academic? No, when truth is really absorbed deep, it comes out as the highest human value and experience to express love in life. And I remember some years ago, I attended the World Parliament of Religions. Have you ever heard of that? It happens every 3 or 4 years in different corners of the world, and it was in Melbourne once. And actually, Daddy Janki attended it, and she was the head of the Brahma Kumaris at that time. And in one of her sessions, there was a rabbi, and he said that there's 3 things in life. There's information, knowledge, and wisdom. And talking about love, he was really saying that how much information is there about love? If you Google the word love, you get billions and billions, multiple billions of results. It says it all to me that it's the human condition to want to feel loved, to want to be loved. But knowledge of love, there's so many theories, beliefs, ideas, psychology about love. You know, there's literally millions of books. But what is the wisdom of love? I would say the wisdom of love is to express love in my life, through my face, through my eyes, through my words, through my attitude. To me, this is the most beautiful human life, because the law of life says when I really express that love, I receive the blessings from the hearts of the majority, the blessings of love. And I feel, you know, it's almost like when you taste that love, you don't need anything else. You feel full. And, you know, one of the things I love about spiritual life is that it's like a gentle self-observation. I'm on this constant learning journey about myself. It's a huge change. Before, we're always watching everything out there, watching people, behavior. But the whole frame of my thinking starts to look inside and observe. My observation of myself is that when the heart is full of love, I notice I change instantly. I feel very easy, very relaxed, very content. You know, that really sweet feeling. And my attitude is definitely more compassionate and more understanding of others around me. To me, the most powerful thing in life is a loving heart. There's nothing more powerful. A loving heart can break down barriers. A loving heart can fill hearts, you know, in pain. A loving heart can just go to places that nothing else can go. It is something which is so powerful. But on the other hand, at the other end of the spectrum, when the heart lacks love, which is the human condition today. When the heart lacks love, the mind can never stop. If you ask most people today, they just say that my mind's in overdrive. It can never stop. Even when I put my head on the pillow at night, you know, when you want to check out at night and just have a good sleep, and then the mind kicks in, just analysing, thinking. And I really believe that you know, when the heart lacks love, the agitated mind, something's missing, searching, seeking, looking. No matter how much I have, I never feel fully satisfied. The first need in life is love. The first desire is love. And if that desire is not fulfilled, I believe 1,000,000 other desires emerge in life. The desire for recognition, the desire for respect, the desire for power, the desire for control, the desire for material things. All of these desires, look at our world. So much desire for power, control, material things. Why? Because I think the fundamental lack of a quality of love, a purity of love, that we can only ultimately gain from a relationship with God. And look at our crisis-driven world. I mean, I promise you I won't talk about them because I think we're all over them. Who's over all the crises? I think people just switch off. Environmental crises, poverty crisis, it's just too much. But you know, sometimes I feel, and I'm not a psychologist, a counsellor, nothing, But I do talk to a lot of people, and I really feel the greatest crisis in the world is a lack of true love, a crisis of relationship. And when we don't really taste that quality of love, it has an impact on almost each and every part of life. For the first time in human history, we are watching the breakdown of the family. In every society on the planet, the social support unit, the family is like a social support unit that nurtures the heart with love, care, belonging, understanding, compassion. How important is it? In so many parts of the world, less than 50% live in a traditional family for one reason or another. Loneliness. And don't you find it ironic that we live in these huge cities with people everywhere, and yet people feel so alone, so disconnected, like I don't belong anywhere? There's such a loneliness. It's a huge mental health issue in our world today. But mental health, is such an interesting thing. There's so many reasons for it. And if you look at most countries today, it's one of the main priorities. The World Health Organization says more people will die through mental health issues than almost anything else into the future. But I'm remembering Daddy Janky a lot tonight, because once I asked her, spiritually, what is the reason for mental health issues? And she said the same, that yes, there's many reasons, but the main reason is a lack of quality love, true love in this life or a past life. And I really feel that's so much truth in that, because it distorts my perception of reality. If I don't get the main nutrient of life, the main nutrient to really charge the inner being, my perception of you and your behavior and everything is completely distorted. And so the human spirit really needs a quality of love. But what is the quality we receive? We do receive love, but what is the quality? And sometimes I think love is very conditional, And maybe you just say, well, that's the reality of the human condition these days. Love is like a tap. Sometimes you turn it on and turn it off. I will love you, I will give you love, but you have to do what I like, You have to behave according to my rules. If you do, I'll turn it on. And if you don't, I turn it off. And so sometimes there is love, but it comes with a lot of control and manipulation. So much so that we're almost used to it. That's what we understand as love these days. Or selfish love. And it's not even a criticism. It's just like, I think sometimes the human spirit feels so empty of that quality of love we yearn for, that all I can think about is you loving me. A relationship is you giving love to me. My observation of the happiest people, they're the givers. The law of karma, we all know deeply. When you give love, you will receive love. If you sit around waiting, you should support me, you should love me, you should do this. I think we wait a long time. And so people who have this sort of selfish love, without even realizing it, have such high expectations, which no one can live up to. So they're permanently disappointed in other people. Some people feel permanently disappointed. No one can fulfill my expectation of how I need to be loved. So sometimes conditional love, sometimes selfish love, or sometimes I would call superficial love. And once I read part of a book. I'm not a very good book reader these days. I'm one of those people who just skims. But someone wrote a book called The History of Love. And in that book, he maintains that the romantic style of love only lasts for about 6 months or so. And then love goes on to deeper and deeper sort of feelings. And a lot of people feel when that feeling's not there, then there's no love once more. And I sometimes think of relationships today a bit like an iceberg. I don't mean they're cold, but An iceberg, as you know, has 10% above the water and 90% below. So when we meet somebody and we see that 10%, we get quite pulled. This is the nature of this time, attracted, influenced. But what happens when I get to know the 90%? When the 90% starts to emerge, then often that attraction changes to something different. A lot of you are nodding as I said that. And then a lot of people, feel a bit of a failure in a relationship because as the real personality emerges, I start to feel perhaps there's not so much affinity. Even, I would say, dependent love is probably, a lot of people think love is just developing this incredibly deep dependence on another person. That builds so much fear in my life, so much stress and so much anxiety. We feel you're giving me security, but actually it's the opposite, because I fear losing that person I love. I absolutely am terrified sometimes that the object of my love will disappear and what will happen to me. And so sometimes, these dependent relationships, because the culture of today is I can't love myself. It's so hard. This is, I would say, why is that world like it is out there? Mark and I were just having a chat how crazy the world is today. I mean, it's a crazy world, right? Most people seem to feel it's getting worse. Why? Where does it begin? It begins in each one of us, And so when, I'm the seed of so much, that just, that dysfunctional relationship with myself, a lack of love for myself. If I can't love myself, it flows into my health, it flows into my relationships, it flows into my work, in every part of my life. And so we do experience love, but what is the quality? Because we all carry a memory of a perfection of love, a purity of love, a quality of love. And sometimes I think in life we search for true love, maybe not even consciously, but unconsciously the soul remembers that someone will give me that quality of love. So we're on this search for true love. And we invest my heart in relationships. It's the most natural thing. That's what we're taught to do. That's what life is, So you think, everyone in this room, how much have you given to your families? How much have you sacrificed? Everything. And yet that huge human dilemma that no relationship is permanent. No relationship is permanent, whether it's time, whether it's change, whether it's conflict, whether it's separation, whether it's death, the object of my love will go. And this is why around love, because so many times we've loved and then there's loss. And it's built up fear and insecurity. Around relationships, we have so much fear and insecurity. And so this is why there's one relationship that's permanent, and that's the relationship of the soul with God. And that's why I really love this life, actually, this spiritual life, because if I embark on it with a true heart, I have a permanent source of love just a thought away at any time. Not only a permanent source, but the highest quality source of love. And sometimes I think there's like 3 sources of love in life. There's the self, there's Baba, there's God, and there's my family and friends. For most of us, this relationship with self is so damaged. It's so damaged for most people today. Not much love coming for myself. True? Often we give ourselves a good beating, we're very self-critical. For God, I think a lot of people have a lot of faith in God. Still about 70-80% of people have a belief in God. But not much deep love. There's a faith and a belief, but a real intimacy of belonging and love is not usually there with God. So my one source of love is my family, my friends, my community. And if there's a loss or the conflict, as I was saying, it's like my whole life goes into upheaval. What is spirituality? Really, what is spirituality? Spirituality is first developing a loving relationship with myself as a soul. This is, I would say, these two things, and secondly, a loving relationship with God as a soul too. And when I plant these two things, I often think they become like anchors. When I put these two anchors down, I can absolutely stabilize, because I have a permanent source of love from God and a permanent source of love for myself. And when I sow those two seeds, no matter how much the world swirls around me, and that's what life's like today, is so unpredictable. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? None of us have any idea, really. And yet when I really practice deeply to reconnect and have a loving relationship with myself and a loving relationship with Baba, then it's like I have a foundation really to build my life on. And I remember that once when I was 30 years practicing my BK life, we had a meeting with Baba in the Diamond Hall. And Baba said to all those who'd been around for 30 years to stand up. And so we stood up, and Baba chatted to us, as he does. And then Baba said, set a date for perfection. And most of us went, how do you do that? And then even those of us there's a group of us from outside of India. And then we began to discuss, what is perfection? What does perfection really look like in a practical way, a day-to-day, real way? The very next Muli, Baba said, love in the heart is the easy method to become complete and perfect. And then Baba said, perfection is to have loving feelings for everyone. And that touched me so deeply, to live in this world. There's 8 billion human beings in this world. All of us know in our families, in our workplaces. I mean, what a variety of personalities are there? It's just a smorgasbord of differences. And to actually be able to generate respect, love, good feelings for everyone, I would say, personally, I think it's a pretty good definition of love, in a way, perfection. And then Baba went on and he said, what is the qualifications of self-respect? What are the qualifications of self-respect? He said, to the extent you have self-respect, you can respect everyone. Those who agree with you, those who don't agree with you, those who cooperate with you, those who don't cooperate with you, you can have respect. To the extent you have self-respect, you will be humble. The expression of someone who has self-respect is humility. When someone is genuinely humble, you know they live in their own dignity. And to the extent you have self-respect, you will be loving and others will love you. And Baba said, not just for a small group, not just loving for my friends, and Baba kept qualifying for everyone, have that loving feeling. And then Baba went on and he was saying that when you have self-respect, you hold the value of others in your attitude. You know, when you come in front of someone, you can see their beauty, you can see their goodness. And we all know it, when someone has that vision on me, that drishti as we call it, how do you feel? How many times have you come in front of some people, just their presence, even not their words, make you feel comfortable, make you feel good, make you feel uplifted? Because when a person has self-respect, a person is spiritually elevated, a a person has true love, that radiates through their vibrations and their drishti. And that has such an incredible effect. And really, I feel Daddy Prakashmani, who met Daddy Prakashmani, who was the head of the Brahma Kumaris. Daddy, she died, it's now about, how long is this? About 17, 18 years. It's amazing how time goes. You know, I felt she held the whole of the organization with her attitude. She was incredibly loving and respectful. And the power of that, you know, and that's what Baba was really talking about. And then Baba went on to say that Baba has love for everyone. Follow the Father. And Baba said, not one is left out of his heart. And if you've actually sat in front of Baba, it's amazingly powerful because sometimes he goes silent. And so after he said that, he went silent and he gave drishti, he looked at everyone and he said, do you have so much love? Are you loving? You know, do you feel this is my brother, this is my sister? Do you give this feeling of belonging to everybody? You know, and I really feel the true expression of truth, when I've absorbed it, is the feelings, giving these feelings wherever I go. And this is really, I think, you know, such high spirituality. And then Baba went on to say that, do you sometimes labor in your life? Is life hard work sometimes? It's a bit of a battle. Sometimes it's like that a bit, isn't it? It's a bit hard work. You know what Baba said? The only reason you labor is you lack love from the heart. Because when there's that quality of love, you have enthusiasm. You know, that word enthusiasm comes from the Greek. Theos means God. Enthusiasm means love for God, actually. When you love God, you have so much enthusiasm in life, with people, with supporting people. It's a natural consequence of that love. And so, you know, sometimes I think that, you know, what is meditation? What is meditation? When we teach it, we give a very technical explanation, you know. But honestly, I feel it's becoming like a small child. In a way, when I become a small child, it's like I start to stand back from my ego and my self-image, sitting in front of Baba, sitting in front of God, and allowing myself to be totally loved. Nothing will make you healthier mentally, emotionally, spiritually, even physically. You know, just becoming simple, letting go all the overthinking, just sit in front of the lover of the soul. No one will love me like Baba. No one can give me that quality of love. And if I do that, let's say, okay, that sounds good to me, and I sit in front of Baba, I literally sit like a little child being loved by a parent, and I still can't feel it. Don't worry, don't panic. What is knowledge? Knowledge is observing where I block this love. If I'm sitting in front of perfect love, the love I've always searched for, I believe we've searched for life after life for this quality of love. And if I'm sitting in front and I can't taste it, this is the deep work of spiritual life, is why, you know, why do I block it? Because I don't feel worthy. I don't feel pure enough. I don't feel good enough. We are addicted to a negative vision on myself. Who, me? Such a soul, an impure soul. How can I be so loved by such a pure being? You know? So this sense of inferiority, this, I feel, is one of the biggest obstacles. My image is that for life after life, we're all souls. We've gone into temples, churches, mosques, whatever it is. oh God, you're so pure, and I'm so impure, I'm a sinner. You know, this sort of religious stuff. And we've reinforced in us such a deep feeling of inferiority. And that's why a relationship is equal parties. If I feel completely inferior to God, I'm yearning for that love, but I can't taste it. I can't really taste it and experience it. This is the deep work of the spiritual journey, to really understand that almost all of us have this block. And a part of our spiritual life is just letting go this block, which I carry about my own sense of inferiority, my own sense of, not being good enough. And so, really, these are very, very deep things, I think. And so meditation, allowing myself to be loved. Knowledge, observing where I block that love. And service is really giving love to everybody. Once we had a program in Australia with Daddy Janky, she's coming up a lot tonight, called The Call of Time. And it's sort of for, I suppose you'd call them influential people. There was one lady there who was a politician. Her name was Kay. She's a lovely lady. And Daddy said to her, Kay, you should become the daddy of Australia, like the older sister. And Kay's a politician, right? She's been smart, and so she said, okay, Daddy, what's the job description of a daddy? What do daddies do? And Daddy Janky said, just love everybody. And it's true in a way. And when you have a personality around who just loving, it transforms the whole atmosphere. And this is really my experience in the BKs, that these daddies, they're just like instruments of that love, and it creates such an amazing atmosphere. And many years ago, I went to stay with one of the older brothers of the Brahma Kumaris, Jagdish Bhai. Many of the old ones know him. He was an extraordinary person. He wrote about 100 books in his life in 4 or 5 different languages. Incredible personality. And once I went and stayed with him, and I started to chat one night, and we chatted and chatted for hours, up till about midnight. It was amazing. And one thing he said, which has always left a deep impression on me, he said, the cycle is a love story. The cycle is the love story. The golden age is like a world of love. And when we're all soul conscious, the whole of the golden age palpitates with the feelings of love. There's no concept of you and me, us and them, accept, reject, like, dislike. There's no framework to think in that way. You feel close to every other person. You feel close to animals, birds, nature. We're just resonating. It's a world of love. It's a real world, absolutely real world. And that's why we have these sanskaras, these impressions of perfection of love, because we've experienced it. Each one of us in the room has this nature. And that's why sometimes when there's conflict and differences, there's a deep disappointment inside. Deep disappointment. We sort of feel I'm a failure because I've got this memory. It can be so much better than what it is. But what he said, when we come to the copper age, what happens? It's not that we stop loving. We just love the wrong things. And he was saying that when I love my own body, it becomes ego. When I love the bodies of others, it becomes lust and attachment. When I love material things, it becomes greed. Actually, all the vices, all the impurity is perverted love. It's misconstrued love. It's misdirected love. And, and then at the end of the cycle, Baba comes to re-educate us how to love accurately. What is true love? What is real love? And once Baba said, true love is to love that which always exists. You know, what happens is that when we love anything temporary, you know, or attach my heart is a better way to say it, I build that fear into my life, that fear of loss. So if I love my body, I fear losing everything. And when I love others as souls, when I love God as a soul, when I love myself as a soul, actually, you know, that is true love. That is true love. And I break this fear of loss. And so I often feel, what are we doing here? We're in this amazing university to discover how to love. What is true love? What is accurate love? What is pure love? And to love that which always exists. To transform my love from physical to spiritual. From love based on emotion to love based on truth. Big difference. Love based on emotion is that love that loves you one day and can't stand the sight of you the next day, you know. You know, in this world sometimes, you know, people feel one day you're so loved and accepted and respected, and the next day someone's done a U-turn and you're the... And, you know, people get so confused, especially children, if they're loved so much one point and then not loved. And yet love based on truth. Baba uses an amazing expression, a loving intellect. And a loving intellect knows your value, and no matter how much you fluctuate, your love is constant. You know, because emotional love, if you're sweet, they love you. But as soon as you do something they don't like, their love stops. But love based on truth, you know the value of that person, it's consistent. And that's how all of us are healed, because Baba has that loving intellect, that love based on truth. He knows we've all become so body conscious and weak, so we fluctuate. But his love is constant, and that gives us the courage to keep going, keep changing, until we become a lot more stable. And sometimes I think all we need to do for complete transformation is just to love the right things. That's all we have to do. All this life is redirecting my love to love that, love in an accurate way. And that's why we really love Baba as a soul. But that takes a lot of change, doesn't it? For half the cycle, we have been in relationships through my sense organs. We're all souls, we see a body, and all my relationships, my communication is through the sense organs of the body. And then at this time, Baba says now, forge a relationship with a soul that doesn't have a body. Is it easy? Is it easy? Not getting many answers here. It's a challenge for all of us, because it only really works when I go up to the same level as Baba. The more I become soul conscious, the relationship is not a belief, it's a real living relationship with the lover of the soul. And this is also the deep work of this life, to be able to really love Baba as a soul. And sometimes I think there's two types of love. There's indirect love, or I would say devotional love, which is based on a belief. You know, there's some people who have so much love for God, incredible love for God, but it's more based on just a belief. Or there's direct love, which is spiritual love, which is the love of a yogi. And what really our method is, the more I learn the art of detaching and becoming bodiless. And this is like the fitness, the spiritual fitness of this journey. You know, to constantly learn the art of stepping back, withdrawing, letting go, and feeling I'm the eternal point there. I have no nationality, I have no gender, I have no profession, I have no colour, all of that here. And the more I really become the soul, it's like I enter Baba's world. The reality of God and his presence and his love and the relationship becomes so tangible. It's not just a belief like a devotee. It's a real living relationship with the lover of the soul. And when I get that, it releases an incredible power to resist my weakness, determination to transform myself. Everything comes when I taste that quality of love. And yet often what happens is that we do recognize Baba and feel, yes, this is where I belong, this is the relationship I want. But because our habit for so many lifetimes is to be so dependent on family members or people, that on the one hand I meditate, I connect, I remember, I get some peace, I get a little bit of love. Then in a millisecond I remember bodily beings, I remember family members. And each time the subtle thread of my intellect connects with bodily beings, it's like I give power back to my body consciousness once again. So on the one hand, I'm practicing, I'm progressing. In a split second, I go back and remember people. And because for a long time, I've had programming that people will give me love. We've lost that memory of loving myself and loving God. And so even though I believe in Baba, my programming is it's people who'll give me the love and support. And yet, the real power comes from that relationship with Baba. So this huge change, I develop a loving relationship with Baba. Nothing is more powerful than that. No one will love me like he does. No one. And secondly, a loving relationship with myself. That's not a small thing, to really say from the heart, I have a healthy, sustainable, loving relationship with myself. There's a deep connection between love and ego. Fundamentally, the law says the more ego, the less love in life. The more ego, the less love. And when I have body-conscious ego, which basically all of us have when we start, sometimes some people think, oh, I'm quiet and soft, I don't say much, I'm humble. It's got nothing to do with that. I often feel, how can I tell how much ego I have? It's my attitude to people. If I'm always critical, finding fault, looking down, I don't like this, I don't like that. To me, that's the measure of my ego. I mightn't say a word, I might be like a church mouse, not say anything to it. I may have still lots of ego. And what it means is that the role of ego makes you feel separate. It whispers in your ear, you don't belong, people don't want you, you're different, you don't. And it's a reality. I start to think, people don't want me, people don't love me, people don't accept me. But that's the role of ego. Ego distorts your perception of reality, whether it's lack of self-respect or ego. So it's like we're looking through glasses, dark glasses. We think we see reality. We think people don't like me, people don't accept me, people don't want me, people reject me. But it's actually, sometimes that's the case, but most of it is a creation of my own body-conscious ego. And the more I really become soul-conscious, the feeling of belonging, the feeling of connection, the feeling that the world is my family, the feeling of love really begins to return. And so we get this amazing education of learning how to love Baba as a soul, learning how to love myself, and love everyone else as a soul. And that takes time, doesn't it, to actually educate myself how to see beyond the conditions of the body. Stop the game of attraction and rejection, because that's what the game of body conscious vision. In a split second I see someone, there's an attraction, in a split second, both sort of energies. But when I see the soul, I see this is my brother. Whatever gender the body is, whatever background the body is, this is my brother's soul. And Baba often, I really love it when Baba talks about that. Because once when I was just 20, I wandered the world for a few years, and I literally just had no fixed agenda. It was an amazing, and I started here, would you believe, in KL, and I wandered right through Malaysia and Thailand and Burma and India and Nepal and Afghanistan and Iran and you name it, I went. And everywhere I went, I lived in religious communities. I lived with Buddhists and Sikhs and Muslims and Christians and Hindus and Parsis, you name it. It was an amazing education. And I can remember writing a diary that if we all surrendered our nationality and our religion, especially I was thinking if young people we could be like a force to go to in parts of the world to really do some good, because we're all educated, have so much ego of our country and our religion and our, it's the way the world is. We all have it in different ways. And in a way, it was like, this is what I love about soul consciousness. When we're soul conscious, we are one human family and everyone belongs. And this is Baba's vision. Everyone is a soul. We are just one human family. And I just love that attitude because I think, look at our world. It's so divided on hundreds of layers and levels, isn't it? Division, 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 division. And yet Baba says to really, and I feel at first when we start to practice, we imagine there's a soul sitting here, but really I'm still quite body conscious. After a while, as I experience myself as a bodiless soul, I can see how the soul sits in the body. But for me, what really clicked was to experience myself as incorporeal or a non-physical being that sits in the pituitary gland up here and it looks through the eyes, hears through the ears, acts through this body, but I'm a distinct entity. And when I start to see the other as the incorporeal, it's like it takes us beyond the conditions of the body. And as I was saying earlier, I think when you see the soul and you have love for the soul, that love is so precious because it's not love based on attachment because you look like me or you're similar to me or you have a belief system like me, you're the same culture. No. You are a soul and you're a family member. And this is really, I think, the love that Baba really gives. And I'll just share one last thing, and if anyone wants to make a comment or ask something. Once in 1980, I'd been to New York for a program, and I was flying back to Australia via India. It's not the shortest route, let me tell you, but somehow I did that. And I stopped in Mount Abu. And all the elder sisters of the Brahmakumaris, all the daddies were there. They're extraordinarily loving beings. And anyway, there was no plan for Baba to come to meet. But Daddy Prakashmani, who was reading the Moli, she kept saying, look, all of these lovely souls are here. Baba should come and meet you. So just like that, at the end of the class, she said to Daddy Gulzar, come. Go to Baba, ask him to come. And Baba came, just spontaneously. He used to do it in those days. And when Baba came, he gave long drishti, very loving, and he said, I haven't come to speak a moli. I've come to fulfill the love of the children. And I'm not exaggerating, for 2 hours, each one of them came up, lay across Baba's lap, and he gave them so much love. And that's when I realized why they became such elevated beings, because Baba's love pulled them beyond attachment and attraction and all this sort of thing. They were so in love with Baba. It's not that they were struggling and battling to renounce or surrender. It was just a natural consequence of being loved, deeply loved, which I sometimes think that's the first human right, to be completely loved. It's the right of every human being. Om Shanti. Anyway. So we have a little bit of time, and we always, as we do, we'll finish with some Toby and blessings. But if anyone would like to ask something, make a comment, disagree, whatever you feel, please feel free. Anyone like to ask something? Okay. There's a lonely microphone here. It's waiting for someone to say something in it. I'm sorry, Vimlaben? Can I tell you one experience when, probably in my first few years in the late 70s, in Mount Abu, a group of us went up to Guru Shikha, which is the top of Mount Abu. And we went with Daddy Manoharindra, and she was one of the original daddies, very loving person. And she gave us all drishti, she gave us wanting to send us into trance. I didn't go, unfortunately. But there was one young brother from London, he was only 16 years old, and he went away. And he was away, like it was like in another, you could see he was just lost somewhere. And after half an hour, he came back and we said, well, where did you go? And he said, Baba took me to the Golden Age. And I'll never forget, he had tears just streaming down his face. He said, you can't imagine how beautiful that world is. And the reason why he was saying that was because he just said there's no concept of duality. There's no concept of, as I was like, dislike, accept, reject, good, bad. You belong. And I think the greatest pain of the human soul now is that we've lost that love. We've lost that absolute closeness. You don't even have to speak. It's a natural, it was real, this love. And it didn't just generate to others, it was even with animals and nature. And once when I came back to Australia from London, there was a small group of us in Sydney, and I remember once we went down to the National Park one evening, and we were meditating at sunset. It's a beautiful place. And suddenly I found myself just like flying in a flying machine. So like, and I was flying, just gliding through valleys and trees, and it was like nature, trees and birds, they were welcoming me, and it was amazing. It's hard to describe because there's no sense of difference. It's so programmed into us. Will people love me? Will people like me? Will people accept me? Will I be good enough? It doesn't exist there. You belong to everyone and everyone belongs to you. And that's why as I was saying, I think sometimes in this life when there's a lot of conflict or a lot of differences, the hardest thing deep down, I feel a failure because I've known I can be better. I've experienced better. And that's why, sometimes why can't it be better than it is, Because we have this memory programmed in our subconscious of that perfection of the golden aged world, where the whole world is just, the whole of nature, the whole of everyone's face resonates with love, belonging. It's who we are. Okay.
Om Shanti. So I will once again thank Charlie. Put our hands together. Yeah. I think Charlie gave a lot of wonderful experiences. And this experience sometimes we can't even get in Madhuban. Yeah. So wherever Baba's instrument is, we get a lot of experience and knowledge. Just good news that Charlie will be with us tomorrow morning from Buri. So we invite everybody. Tomorrow morning he'll be in Bangsar, 5:30 meditation, 6 o'clock is a Muli. You're welcome to hear more wisdom and more sharing. So we just have 1 minute, one song, and then we'll get blessings and Tuli. Okay? Om Santi.
Thank you.
Would you recognize the truth? Do you feel the love that's falling from my eyes? Take just a minute. Come and rest here by my side. Let me tell you your own story. Let me walk you through your lives. Only a second, it's all it takes to realize there's 100,000 angels by your side. There's 100,000 angels by your side. Do you hear me talk to you? I whisper through doorways and pathways of your mind, clear like the morning dew, and fresh from my journey, cross an ocean of blue. Take just a minute. Come and rest here by my side. Let me tell you your own story. Let me walk you know where I have been to, I remember all I've seen. I was in amongst the sorrows of 1,000 different scenes. I played the games they taught me, I played by all their rules, but I never learned the basics in their sophisticated schools. But then you came by and plucked me from a downward slide. You found me when all I wanted was to hide. I said yes, and you gave me the strength to find the truth in me. Now I see you pointing, I can't deny the truth. The mist is clearing quickly, I see and feel the proof. Soon we will be dancing to the rhythms that we make. Our voices will be singing the songs that we create. But then you came by and plucked me from a downward slide. You found me when all I wanted was to hide. I said yes, and you gave me strength to find the truth in me. Before the sunlight glances upon this tired land, you tell us all the secrets we come to understand. The pattern of the new day depends on all we do, and darkness turns to daylight with morning's sweetest dew. But then you came by and plucked me from a downward slide. You found me when all I wanted was to hide. I said